Okay. So we're going to start lying down. So if you have a cushion or a towel or something, then roll it up so it's kind of a sausage shape. You can do this with or without, it's a complete option. Starting with it, kind of depending on how big your prop is, kind of in the small of your back, so that your shoulders can open out around it. So up to you whether your head is also resting onto it, or the head is dropping back behind it towards the floor. And if it feels too strong or feels too uncomfortable for shoulders, then just come out of it altogether is fine. You're going to have your feet as wide as the mat and allow the knees to drop into each other. So if you're using a block here, then the block is on the thinner, longer edge between the shoulder blades, running along the spine from the top of the shoulders down towards kind of bra strap line of your back, around the base of the shoulder blades. So try to allow the jaws to relax into it. Hi, Theo. Thanks for joining. So each time you inhale, really try and expand through the ribs and through the chest. And as you exhale, try to allow the shoulders to just drape either side of your cushion or your towel or block. So up to you where your arm placement is, depending on kind of the rotation that feels best through the shoulders. If the neck is dropped back over your cushion, then try to allow the throat to relax into it. Allow the head to relax open. Feel the breath circulating around the heart center. Try to really tune in with your focus into that space, whether that's a physical heart or the center around it, whether that's a very tangible physical thing or a more energetic sense of the space. Become aware of the sensations there. Acknowledge the pace of your heartbeat. Maybe if you consciously slow down and deepen your breath, you may notice the rate of your heart slow down. It takes about 30 seconds or so of that slower, deeper breathing to reduce the heart rate, to bring down the blood pressure, making real biochemistry shifts and changes in the body. Staying here for another couple of breaths. Gently roll yourself over to either side of your cushion or blanket, just lying onto your side just for a moment. And when you're feeling ready to, just remove the prop from your mat. And bring yourself back flat to your back again. So the knees are bent and the feet are to the floor. Gently pick your hips away from the mat and sit them down again towards the left side of your mat. So as you drop the knees over to the right, the hip placement just feels a little bit more comfortable. So I just shimmied your bum across towards the left slightly. Stacking the left knee on top of the right one. And you can adjust the placement of your legs, whether the knees are lengthened away from your torso or tucked further in towards your body. You decide where the legs are. But try to keep that left shoulder rooting towards the floor. Maybe that takes a few exhalations to find that grounding. And notice as the left shoulder stays rooted, that creating more space around the heart center again. Keeping this center open and circulated and bright. If it's okay with the neck, turn the head towards the left arm. So you continue that spiral through the back into the back of the head. Consciously breathing, like you're breathing on purpose. Staying where you are, take a full breath in. And as you exhale, draw the belly to spine, bring the knees gently through the center, the head center. So you might need to just lift the hips up and replace them down towards the right side of your mat. So the knees can now drop over to the left. Again, stacking the right knee on top of the left and placing the legs wherever feels good for your back, wherever feels good for the twist to be. Use the left hand on the upper thigh if that helps to anchor them down. Again, focusing each time you exhale and draw the abdomen in, that right shoulder is rooting towards the floor. Staying where you are, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, bring the knees through to the center again, just replace the hips into the middle. So you're going to take a twist again over with the right legs dropping towards the right. So if it feels good to place the hips over to the left again, just to help that twist feel a little bit more stable, then take that. This time we're going to lengthen the left leg out to the side. So allow the right hand to catch hold of it, or you can let the toe just find the floor, or placing that ankle onto a block or a cushion to support it, just straightening that top leg somehow. So the left leg is straightening out. So if it doesn't feel too tricky to grab hold of, you can either stay where you are. If you wish to try it, then your left hand, see if that can grab hold of the right foot. So you might need to pick up that right leg to grab hold of the foot and then squeeze it back down. So the left hand has the underneath foot. Left hand underneath foot and pull it round. Yes, good. If it feels crampy or too twisted, then stay wherever feels easy. Staying where you are, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, gently untangle your legs, bring the knees back to the center, the hips to the center. Just take a moment there with the back aligned, taking a deeper breath. And then shimmying the hips towards the right side of the mat, so the knees can drop comfortably towards the left. So we're going to extend the top leg, so that's your right leg reaching out, supported with the left hand. The motorbike right outside my window, sorry if you can hear that. Keeping the right shoulder rooted, that chest space open. And if you want to, then we bring in the pose is called the cat pulling its tail. So it's your right hand that grabs the underneath left foot and pulls it further round. Again, if that feels too tricky or too crampy, then leave it out. Take one more long breath where you are. Gently release the legs so the knees come back to the center. Again, replace the pelvis and the spine back center, and just take a big breath with everything nice and aligned. As we started the practice, just open the feet about as wide as your mat is, and drop both knees again towards the right. So another kind of twist variation as we bring in the quad stretch into here. So your left hand grabs hold of the left foot or the left ankle and tuck the heel around behind your back any further if you can, or heel towards the left glute. So we lengthen this left thigh, left hip flexor. Try to reach that left kneecap forwards and then down towards the floor. Simultaneously trying to tuck the tailbone, so you try to bring as much of your back towards the floor as feels able. And to up level into that just slightly further, if you engage your left glute, so squeezing through the left buttock, it's going to help press open the front line of that hip even further. Focusing into the breath. So as you exhale and draw the lower belly down, bring in those transverse abdominals will lift away from the hips. So you create more lengthening around that space. Take a deep breath in, full breath out. Bring the knees gently back to the center and just lift that left heel towards the ceiling with the hands around the back of the thigh. So not working into too much of a deep stretch here, we're just circulating through the back of the leg. So keep the right foot on the ground, the right knee bent. So the back feels really supported and grounded. The hands interlaced around the back of this left thigh, and just let the leg reach towards the ceiling and fall towards you wherever it feels enough to come to. There can be a little bend in the knee if that feels more comfortable. After a couple of breaths, maybe just acknowledging the sensation of lightness through the toes. Maybe you bring a sense of little tingling into it as the blood circulates. Stay where you are, take a big breath in. As you exhale, bend the knee, let the foot come back to the ground. Maybe notice the sensation of the blood flushing back into that foot. Notice how one leg feels compared to the other. Take the feet as wide as your mat is. Let both knees drop down towards the left. So we come into the quad stretch with the right hand grabbing the right foot and tucking it around behind you any further. Reaching that right knee forwards and down towards the ground. And as you exhale, draw the abdomen down so the back tries to draw towards the floor any closer. Think about the movement of the abdominals with the breath, noticing any changes of sensation into the stretch as you breathe. Taking a big breath in. As you exhale, gently bring the belly to spine, lift the knee up to the ceiling. And then coming into that gentle hamstring stretch. So lifting the right heel towards the ceiling with the hands interlaced around the back of that thigh, just to keep a little bit of weight for support in there. The left foot can stay on the ground so that your back feels like it can just drop into the floor. Finding a stretch for the leg that just feels easy, like you're creating space rather than pushing into flexibility. Focus into the sensations of the foot. Noticing the blood drain away and that sense of lightness or a sense of cooling through the foot. Maybe a little tingling. Stay where you are, take a big breath in. And as you exhale, bend the knee, place that foot to the floor, feel the blood flush back into it again. Gently roll yourself over onto one side, and then use the hands to help you press up to a all fours position. Placing the hands underneath your shoulders, just give your back a little wriggle out, a couple of cat-cow or a bit of a swing side to side. So spread the hands open into the floor. As you inhale, you're going to rock the body forwards into the hands. As you exhale, rock back towards the heels. So not necessarily a big movement, just going forwards and backwards, so the wrists get a bit of a stretch, and maybe the lower back gets a little bit of release as you lean back. Try taking the hands a pace further forwards of your shoulders. So as you lean back, you feel a bit of stretch through the arms or through the armpits or back. You're going to bring in a little bit of a neck release into here. So as you rock forwards, take that breath in. Exhale to rock back and bring your left ear, so try and press against the left shoulder. Inhale to rock forwards. As you exhale, rocking back and bring the right ear towards the right shoulder. Rocking forwards. Long exhale, reaching back, left ear to left shoulder. Inhale, rock forwards. Exhale, rocking back with right ear to right shoulder. Once more either side, forwards. Rocking back, left ear to left shoulder. Rocking forwards. And back with right ear to right shoulder. Rocking forwards, and then come back into a child's pose with the knees about as wide as your mat. Sitting back towards the feet. You can place a cushion or something under the forehead if that makes things more comfortable, or bring the hands under the forehead, any variation of arms that you like. Try to really feel the lengthening and the space around the lower back. So connect the sit bones into the heels. If it helps to just guide the direction of space through your spine, then just bring one of your hands to find the lower back. You're going to just stroke your back from your spine, from mid-back towards the tailbone. You're guiding the tailbone towards the feet a little. And then replace the hand wherever it was. Take a last big breath in where you want. Gently bring yourself forwards. Now, if you want to, you can take your towel and place it under the knee, or you can spin yourself kind of long ways on the mat. You're going to take the knees open wide and drop onto the forearms. Just set yourself up comfortable for this frog pose. So your feet come out in line with the knees, so the ankles are back in line with knees rather than folding in. The ankles in line with knees. You're on the forearms of the hands. The knees as open as they feel good to go. Again, if you want that extra padding, placing the cushion or your towel or something under the knees if that helps. Try to keep the spine straight, so kind of tempting, trying to turn myself so you can see, to slump into a back bend, particularly those of you that are mobile in the lower back. So draw the belly up to the spine, so the spine is in one long flat line. From here, to up level into it, press the hips back towards the heels a little. So there's some work happening for the shoulders here to support you and the core. Holding this static, gentle strength is really good for strengthening into the joints as well. While obviously the hips are getting that opening. So every couple of breaths or so, maybe your knees nudge out a millimeter wider, or maybe the hips press back a millimeter further back towards the feet. Use the exhale if you deepen in any further there. You start to feel gripping through the hips, rock the weight forwards, come out of it for a moment, and exhale to sink back in. You might feel you can go a little bit deeper strong pose to hold. Deepen the breath. Last couple of breaths here. Either you deepen in or you soften out a little bit, make the most of these last couple of breaths. Slowly bring the weight forwards into your elbows. You take the pressure off the hips. Tuck the toes in towards each other. From here, you're going to come down to lie on your belly. So bring the weight forwards. The feet will lift up as the belly comes down. Take the elbows wide, so you create a pillow for the head to rest onto. So the legs are in a bit of a diamond shape, the toes touching, the feet will be floating. So keep the knees as open as they feel good to be. You can just press your weight back into the legs a little bit. Helps. You want your belly to be on the floor, so there's not too much of a back bend. The pelvis will be slightly arched, but we're not back bending into it. Keep the big toes touching in the center, like you're creating a diamond shape with the legs. And just allow the weight of your feet to drop in towards the floor. If it feels like the hips are tensing into it, then keep a rocking of the legs slightly. So say you're tapping one of the big toes down to the mat and then the other toe, and just keep it gently rocking. For those of you that are very open in the hips, flex the feet and think about the heels either tapping or dropping to the floor. Like a plie for the dancers amongst you. Find stillness, the big toes touching, just let the weight of the feet drop in. Take 3 more long breaths in stillness. So inhale for 1. Exhale, feel belly pull up to the spine. Inhale for 2. Exhale, pulling belly to spine. 3. Exhale, pull belly to spine. So lift the feet towards the ceiling or the sky and bring the knees in towards each other. So just hug the inner thighs towards each other. That's it. Then straighten the legs back behind you. Bring the hands under the shoulders, press up to all fours. Turn yourself back long ways on your mat and just fold the hips back into a child's pose. Again, any variation of arms that kind of works for your shoulders is fine. Just getting the hips kind of back connected where they feel comfortable. Coming back into all fours. From here, we're coming into puppy stretch. So keeping the thighs in a straight line. You can pad the knees up if you want to. Taking the hands out in front and forehead sinking down, resting maybe to floor or to a block or to cushion. Try to keep the arms far enough away that the elbows stay lifted. And think about the armpits trying to come to the floor. This will feel a little softer in the shoulders if the hands are wider, and a little deeper in the shoulders if the hands are closer together. For those of you that are very open in the shoulders, try coming onto fingertips so the palms, the wrists and the elbows are lifted, and sink the chest down from there. Tailbone tipping up to the ceiling. And maybe your chin is resting to the floor or the forehead, wherever gives you the more restorative feeling, whatever gives you room to breathe. Pulling belly to spine on the exhale. Try to breathe as wide into the ribs as you can, so you get as much expansion through the rib cage as you can feel. Last full round of breath. Pressing into the hands to lift the shoulders. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders to give them a little bit of a wriggle out if you need to. And then tuck the toes and lift the hips. Come into a downward facing dog. Just for a moment, let the head hang. Keep that feeling of that puppy stretch, so the chest is pushing through the arms. Give the feet a bit of a paddle. And then bring the left leg forwards to come into pigeon. So again, you can pad out underneath this left thigh with your blanket or cushion if that helps to just feel a little bit more restorative into it. Bring the forearms out in front of you and allow the head to rest onto something, whatever that might be. If you know pigeon isn't feeling good for your knee or your hip, you can either just keep the heel tucked underneath the left glute so the leg is parallel rather than rotated, or take a figure of 4 lying on your back. If you need help with any modifications, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. So to deepen into pigeon, if you want to take it further, try to bring the heel further up towards the top line of the mat. So the shin is more parallel with the top line of the mat. The pelvis stays square to the floor. You want to find that kind of sweet spot of getting a deeper stretch, but it's not twinging into the knee. So your bone structure will be different between each body. So that will be a very individual placement. Consciously breathing. Last couple of breaths here. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Lift up the body slightly. If you have anything underneath your left thigh, just remove it so that you can sit down onto the left thigh. Bend the back knee in a little bit. So you've got this kind of zigzag of the legs. So almost sitting upright. Bring the ball of that left foot to connect in with the knee of the right leg. So you've still got this right foot folded behind you. If it's feeling tricky in hips, pop yourself onto cushion or block or whatever you have to lift the hips up a little. I'm going to just hold here, bring the hands to the knees and try to create a straight line through the spine as you can. If you're noticing a difference of weight between the sit bones or between your buttocks, so possibly noticing a lighter right side, each exhale you take, see if you can find more grounding through the right sit bone, the right buttock. You can take the hands to the sides of the body if that helps you kind of press it down a little bit further. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, just kind of lift yourself out again. We're going to move back in towards that pigeon shape, but keep it really restorative. So I want you to grab your block or your pillow, whatever you have with you. Bring your left, so I'm going to stay on a bit of an angle, so hopefully you can see this a bit better. The left shin parallel to the top line of the mat, and have your block or your cushion in front of that left knee. The left arm, so same arm as front leg, is going to rest down behind the calf muscle. Send the back leg a bit further away, and your pillow there is a pillow for your head or your cushion. So rest the head down onto your prop. The arm is behind the calf muscle. Send the back leg a little bit further away, so you're just not hunched in. The leg doesn't have to be straight by any means at all. So there is a bend still, so you can kind of support yourself. Just give your body room to breathe. The arms are wherever they want to be. So I quite like kind of holding onto the foot that you're looking at. So maybe you can tuck your shoulder into the fold of that knee a bit further. A really restorative way to lengthen into the IT bands and the inner thighs and get that hip open. Make sure the head feels relaxed. Last couple of breaths. Gently, using the hands to help you, unravel yourself. Take your time, move slow out of this one. Send the legs back towards the back of the mat, so either just folding back into a child's pose or give that leg a stretch back. Just any movement that kind of helps you reset your body. Maybe it's a downward dog. And just notice the changes or the sensations from one leg to the other, maybe feeling a little bit longer or different in one side. Stepping the right leg forwards to come into pigeon. Again, if you want to pad out that right thigh with your cushion or a block or something, then do make life comfortable. Bring the forearms to the ground, allow the head to soften down wherever it wants to be. And with the opening, that deep work that we've just done with the left hip, it might take a little bit of kind of just softening into the opening of that back leg reaching away. So be kind if this side needs a little bit more time to settle in. If it feels enough where you are, then stay where you are. If you want to deepen in, just try nudging that underneath foot slightly further forwards. Finding that point where it deepens in but doesn't twinge the knee. And keeping the pelvis square to the ground. The breath still able to move fully and deeply. Last couple of breaths. So pressing yourself up gently, remove anything away from underneath your right thigh so you can sit down onto it. Bend the back knee in, just shimmying that knee forwards towards the sole of the front foot. So we connect the ball of the right foot to the knee of the left. And if it's feeling tricky in knees or hips, then pop yourself up onto your block or your cushion so your hips are a little bit more lifted, will feel more comfortable. So hands just resting out to the sides of the body. Create that straight line coming from your tailbone into the back of the head. That's right, Chris. So the ball of the right foot to the thigh of the left. Yeah. Softening the shoulders down. And each time you exhale, try and find more grounding through that left side of the pelvis. So it may or may not work for you. If you press the ball of the right foot into the left leg, you create a little bit of resistance to find more grounding through the left side of the pelvis. Maybe not necessarily feeling like a muscular stretch, it's just quite healthy for the pelvis to find that inward and outward rotation sockets. Take a deep breath. And then we're moving into that more restorative feeling of pigeon. So grabbing your block, your cushion, whatever you use as your pillow, just turn your right shin further away so the shin is parallel with the top line of the mat. Send the back leg further out so you have more room. Your right arm, so same arm as front leg, the elbow is going to rest down behind the calf muscle into the fold of the knee. So then resting your head onto your cushion, whatever height that works for you is completely up to you. So think about the temple of the head resting to the block. So you're looking at your big toe. Then try to tuck the right shoulder into that fold of the knee. And maybe just send that back leg away a little bit further. So it doesn't have to straighten by any means. Just lengthen the body out so you feel a bit of space. Hands wherever they feel helpful or useful to me. Again, another one, maybe after a couple of breaths, you have a little wriggle into deepening or moving into wherever feels good to move into. Try and really surrender the weight of your body into that thigh. Taking the last couple of breaths. Take your time to move slowly out of it. Bring yourself upright to seated with the legs out in front of you. So just spin that back leg around. Lean back into the hands. Just let your back have a bit of a wriggle or the legs have a wriggle. We're going to find a forward fold. Both legs straight initially and then 2 variations. So if you want to be sat onto your cushion or block or anything that helps your lower back feel a little bit more comfortable, maybe a bend in the knees or a strap around the feet, entirely up to you where you take your fold. So just take a breath in, feel the lift of the ribs coming away from the pelvis. And as you exhale, pull belly into the spine so that it supports the fold of your lower back. Then allow the head to hang heavy. If you have a block, the other option to use that is to place the block between your knees or your legs, wherever your forehead can kind of just drop into. You're just really supported with the block. Like we did with the hamstring stretch at the start, find a place where you're not forcing, you're not pulling into finding a really deep stretch. Just allow some space to come around the spine, some space to come around the legs. Still deep opening for your pelvis here. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly roll back up straight again. Now just place your right ankle on top of the left one. Take a breath in, lift tall. And as you exhale, refold towards the legs. So a little adjustment. For some people, that can make quite a big bit of difference. Again, just taking the fold wherever your body feels enough. Use the arms to support you, the block to support you, the breath to support you. Stay where you are, take a big breath in. As you exhale, slowly rolling up through the spine. Again, moving slow if you've been in a deep stretch. Switch the ankles, so release the right one, so both legs are out straight, and then place the left ankle on top of the right. Take a breath in, lifting tall, and exhale to fold. So if you know you're taking care of tricky hamstrings at the minute, just go easy with it. Breath help you release where there's tension building. Notice where that is as well. So the main focus is obviously around the legs or the back, but notice the jaw or the forehead. Soften into the body or the mind where you can. Notice if that can bring more of a ripple effect of ease through the rest of the body. Stay where you are, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly rolling back up. Release the legs, give your back a bit of ease. Take the feet to the floor so there's a bend into the knees. Take a little arch of the chest lifting. And then just sit yourself upright, come into a cross-legged with the right leg in front. Again, sat onto a cushion if that helps your lower back feel a bit more eased. So option to stay with the right leg in front. For those of you that want to build into a little bit deeper, try taking the right foot into half lotus. So the right foot lifts up and places the little toe edge into the fold of the left hip. You can place a cushion underneath that right knee if that helps to kind of support the knee up. If it feels too awkward or restricts your back from staying upright, then just stay with cross-legged, it's fine. Take your right hand forwards in front of you, and then sweep it around behind you. Grab hold of your t-shirt or your leggings as far around towards the left hip bone as you can. For some of you, if you can grab hold of that big toe, grab hold of the toe to bind. Otherwise, clothing works fine. Just place the right hand just behind your back if that feels enough. Okay, so option just to have that right hand behind you, and the further around you take it, obviously the deeper you go in. Bring the left hand to the right knee. So lift up as tall as you can through the spine. As you exhale, squeeze the shoulders round into that twist. And allow your head to drop towards the left shoulder. So this is where that right hand that's behind you, whether that's on the floor or grabbing your t-shirt or grabbing the big toe, encourages that right shoulder to open back any further as you open into the deeper pec and around the sides of the neck. Relax the jaw into it. Allow the head to really hang heavy towards left shoulder. If you have hold of the big toe, try to flex the foot. So it's going to pull the arm around a bit further into the twist. If it's feeling really awkward for your back or your knees, just find cross-legged with a twist. It's fine. Take some really deep breaths. So the breath moves right through the belly, up the ribs and into the chest and soothes into the neck with both inhale and exhale. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, slowly release. Again, don't ping out of it. Just take your time to unravel. Give the legs a bit of a straighten out first if you need to. And then switching sides, you're either in cross-legged with the left leg in front, or you place the left leg into half lotus, so the little toe edge tucks into the fold line of the hip. The left hand reaches out in front of you. Sweep it around behind you, so the fingers either find the ground or the t-shirt as far around towards the right hip as you can, or maybe the big toe. It helps if you lean forwards if you want to grab the toe. The right hand then places onto the left knee. Good. Take a big breath in, grow tall. As you exhale, squeeze the shoulders round into the twist. And allow your head to drop down towards the right shoulder. And this is where that left hand, reaching back behind you, is encouraging the left shoulder to open back. So again, come back to that start where we had the focus into the heart center. Try to create as much open space around the chest as you can with this twist. If you have hold of the big toe, try to flex the foot, so it'll encourage that arm round a bit deeper. Feel the breath filling up from the belly, through the ribs, into the chest and through the neck. Soothing into it with both inhale and exhale. Stay where you are, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, slowly release the arms, release the twist, take the legs out in front of you and lie down. Pad yourself out with the cushions or the pillows, any props that you want to kind of fill out your Shavasana with. Hug the knees in towards your chest for a moment, maybe get a little rock side to side. Just get yourself comfortable into the floor just for the last couple of minutes. We won't be here too long. So I'm going to invite you to just count with me a couple of rounds of the 3, 4, 5 breaths that some of you may have done before. You're going to inhale for a count of 3, hold the breath for a count of 4, and exhale for a count of 5. So if you can sink in with me, you're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1, hold the breath for 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Holding for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take 2 more rounds at your own pace. You can keep that going if you want to, or just let the breath return to a more organic rhythm. Tune your focus, your dharana, your concentration into the heart center. Again, whether that's the physical heart or the kind of energy center around it. Notice the breath moving into that space. Notice the rate of your heart. Notice any feelings, if you can, that kind of sit around the space. Take a really big breath in, get as much expansion through the chest center as you can. Let the breath just flush out of the body. Again, a really deep breath in. And let it flush out. Slowly either roll yourself to one side or take a gentle rock to seated if that's preferable. Take your time, bring yourself upright to any comfortable placement. Keeping the eyes closed, the hands just resting to the legs. Closing your practice, bringing to mind just one thing that you can feel grateful for today. Acknowledge one thing that you are really proud of yourself for. Recognize one way of how getting to your yoga mat this evening has served you in some way. Enclose the feeling of that gratitude, the feeling of that self-compassion, and the feeling of that achievement into the heart center as the palms close. Take a deep breath into that heart space once again. And as you exhale, bow your head to your hand and to your heart center. Thank you, guys. Namaste. Well done. Thank you. Hope you can all walk tomorrow with your hips deeply opened. I'll just unmute you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, Sarah. See you soon, guys.